Howdy folks, Stock here with Last Best Tool, and WORKPRO has come out with a screw extraction plier. It's in the sort of the traditional multi-plier form with bolt holding, a couple of different options there, set of cutting knives, but most of all it's got the screw extraction teeth. Go into this in a sec. I wanted to follow up yesterday when I did a video on the two Sunex kind of stripper pliers. This one I was not as pleased with because of the amount of play in the front end and that those didn't match, and somebody said maybe because of the length. Well, I can actually just take my fingers here and you can see I can wiggle these side to side. In fact, I can get it about halfway off. That's just my fingers. That's way too much play given a metal tool. I've compared it to others, and I can't do that with any of the others. Really long, narrow electronics ones I might be able to, but nothing that's supposed to be grabbing like this. So I still stand by my disappointment. But anyway, this I'm not disappointed with. This is pretty incredible for 10 bucks, actually $9.99 on Amazon, which shocked me. It fits into the line probably in between these. This is a Vamplier, but it still has the engineer branding on it, the WORKPRO, and then this is just an outstanding one. This is the PZ58. It's a spring-loaded version, just an excellent execution. A few other options depending on your needs. Here is, this one's Vamplier, but again, you know, engineer created. Needle nose, nice big hefty front end on this. It's just a well executed plier, but very small screw grabbing there. More in the microelectronics screw grabbing here with this Vamplier. Here's an engineer in the rough slip joint traditional form that also has that screw grabbing, fairly large here. Here's a Vamplier Jaws. This is actually, you know, the locking plier with very small screw grabbing there. Here's Snap-on on their pistol grip kind of multi-plier with screw grabbing. So the essence that you're looking for is first a conversion from what's usually horizontal teeth to essentially vertical teeth, or teeth parallel to the direction that you're using them, because you're going to be twisting with it in a downward form, not in a side form, side position. And you also have to have, if you notice here, you have to grind this really sharp right up to the edge. And there's really not a lot of room to mess around there. That's what kills some of these. If you look at the WORKPRO, they've done that fairly well. It is a touch rounded into the teeth. You know, it's almost like a flush cutter and a diagonal cutter. You really want a flush cutter here, but you can see that's how well the positioning is. There is some wear. I've been using this, trying it out on different screws, and I'm not sure. It's supposed to be like 64 hardness rated. I don't know about that, but once those wear down, it really kind of diminishes the usefulness. Here's an example of this. I've got different kinds of screws at different depths in here. First of all, sometimes, and this doesn't get mentioned as much, if you happen to have a security screw that you don't have the bit for, the bit for that would look like this. You know, that's how I screwed that in. These are actually quite good security screws, but can I use this WORKPRO here to get that out? I have to get right up flush against it, up against the wood, and be able to hang on tight. And the WORKPRO does do that. You can see I've raised it a little bit. When I compare that in grabbing, I can feel a distinct difference with these engineers here. It's like a sharp knife and not quite a sharp knife. The way it grabs is much more refined. If I use less force, in fact, here, I've screwed it down in, a little harder to grab. The engineer, flush on, I can grab it. So are they as good? I'd have to say no. I can demonstrate that easily here, you know, the feel. For most screws, they're going to be fine. If you start sliding them around, you know, grabbing sloppily, you may end up wearing the teeth. But for 10 bucks, given that most people have very little need for these. When you need them, you really need them, but you don't use them most of the time. You know, that's why they put other features on them, so it has more use. But in this case, I just want that screw extraction. That's what the value of these at $10 is. It's got kind of a softer, a little bit pliable handle. As far as the smoothness, yeah, it's very smooth, but the reason is, as you can see, there's a little bit of wiggle there. I'm not too worried about that with these, and it's a $10 pair of pliers. Does have limitations, like this recessed screw here. I've tried several times, and I cannot get a grip on it. You probably need to transition to something sharper that you can actually get into the wood, and then you can start turning a screw like that. I can barely do it with those. But overall, for a Chinese-made, very inexpensive plier that does have reasonably sized, reasonably machined teeth for screw extraction, yeah, I'd say if you don't have an anticipated major need for screw extraction pliers, but you'd like to have a set, you know, that's definitely a direction to consider. The other thing I noticed when I was playing around with them, you start to look at the depth of how far down these go. And you can see the engineers go way down further. And at first I thought, well, yeah, of course, they have more of everything. You know, the teeth are a little deeper, a little sharper, a little finer. But I started thinking, why do I need so much depth? Almost everything we do with these is going to be up near the top. However, if you start screwing something out, you're going to have to maintain grip, you know, near the top. And I did notice, this is also a little big, but I have a little bit limited room, whereas that allows me, do you see that extra little bump there? I hadn't realized just how valuable that is for grabbing something. I mean, it's in there really snug. Kind of neat. But with this one, it does start to slide out pretty easily because it's so smooth. Just hadn't, you know, you almost have to compare it to something else that might be lacking a feature in order to know if the feature is actually, or what, even that the feature is actually there. But overall, simple tool, good price, and it does have that. If you need I would spend the extra money, you know, twice as much at least, or you can go up to 3 times as much if you think you'll really be using it a lot. But if you just want to have one around, just in case, and they are super handy for that. You know, if you've ever messed up a screw or come across one that's been stripped out, or you don't have the right bit for it, say a security screw, you know, that's really where these come in, and that is one of the tools that can kind of pay for itself in one job. And for $10, it's not going to take much of a job to pay for it. Anyway, with that, Doc out.